Hello there, and welcome to Sweet Child of Time. I'm your host, Steve Barnes, and today we're discussing episode 3, Seeds of the Shadow. Might be called Seeds of Apple Blossoms, because we saw some apple blossom seeds this episode. That was nice. Let me bring in my nice co-host. You know him as the Marshland Monster, but you probably know him as James McCullum. I know him as James McCullum. Ahoy there, Jimmy Jams.
Ahoy! May you find the water and shade.
Yeah, we're always finding water and shade. How's it going today, James?
It's going well. Woke up, worked out, ate, and that's where I'm at now.
Did you have anything you wanted to go over before we start talking about this episode 3, Seeds of the Shadow?
For some weird reason, maybe it's because when they were talking, they talked exclusively by saying people's names or places within the world of Wheel of Time that are always 6 to 10 syllables long.
Sure.
I just was lost completely when Morgaze was discussed. Is that the Red's name?
You mean Elaine's mom, the Queen of Andor?
No, the Red, who is with Morgaze.
Oh, Elaida, the Red
Yes.
Aes Sedai. I understand. Okay, sure.
So I don't know what is going. I think there was just so much politicking, and everyone is talking in like a hushed tone, like, yes, hi, have you been to Gliblislatia Messia? And it's like, no, I haven't, and what is that place?
I mean, you got the basic gist as a viewer. They're politicking, and they're conniving, and they're talking in hushed voices, and they're being like catty with each other as well, these Aes Sedai in the tower. And that's really stressed in the book, like the way that they interact with each other, the way they cut each other down, like in sentences. They follow the structure of the power, but at the same time, they insult each other within that structure. So they're all really conniving in that way. And Elaida, she used to be the sitter of the Reds. She was like the main Red dude, or main Red lady, I should say. Why do I say dude? I always say bad guys and bad dudes. She was the main Red. And she was, as the main Red and as like the leader of the Reds, Queen Morgaze, as she was rising to power, wanted the most powerful Red at her side as her advisor. So she chose Elaida. And then in Elaida's absence, you know, Sunam is now the sitter of the Red, and she is in her place. And Elaida has been out of the tower for over 20 years, because we saw Elaine and Queen Morgaze's belly during that scene in episode 2, where they slit everybody's throat. Now Elaine's 20 years old. So obviously she's been there for more than 20 years, out of the tower, out of everybody's eyes. Everybody's pretty much forgotten about her, because they're like, oh yeah, she's the advisor of the Queen. We'll never see her again. Now she's here in the tower, and she has a start from zero. She's just like a random Aes Sedai woman who wandered in, and she has to like start from zero. And her goal, of course, is the top. She wants to be an advisor. She wants to be number one, but she has to start from scratch. And we're watching as she's doing this.
Okay, so what is, in 5 sentences, going on with just their plot in this episode?
In this episode, well, you know, I was going to get to it when we get to it, but I'll tell you now. 5 sentences. Sentence 1, she goes to try to visit Swan, and she's gate kept at the door by the other 2 sisters. So they're like, you can't come in here without a sitter. Sentence 2, she goes to the sitters and is like, can you guys give me some permission to get to do this? And they're like, whatever. So then she connives a plot to have a vote happen in the hall that will involve the Red sitters to vote one way or another. And Elaida is trying to manipulate that vote. First, by coming in there and insulting the Red sitter, then by telling men a little secret that she knows that men will not keep, and then she will tell Swan, and then Swan will say, all the Red sitters, get out of here, go get Mazrim Tame. That leaves, if there's a vote, the Reds are gone. They can't vote. There's no sitter. So now Elaida is like, hey, you don't have a sitter? I'm here. I'm available. How about me be your sitter? That's basically the whole gist of it.
Yeah, I really wish they had just done all of that at once instead of like segmenting it. And maybe, you know, don't bring up people and places that have 7-syllable names. Because then it's like, that's not important to the plot. That's just, you know, when you do essay questions in school and it's math and it's like, no, you don't need to worry about people, places, and things. Just worry about the numbers that are involved.
Right. But like those, I think sometimes those words are meant to like lock you into it to make you think that numbers are fun.
Mhm.
But in some ways, they're like a deterrent to most people, like yourself. You're like, just give me the facts here. So I think that what they're trying to do is get you interested and let you watch Elaida do her work and see how she's, kind of lying, but not really lying, kind of getting people to do what she wants by telling them the opposite of what they should be hearing.
Okay, because after this episode, I was like, was this one bad? But or I guess I was thinking that while watching it, and then I realized, like, no, the only thing that doesn't make sense is this area of the episode. Everything else is fantastic.
Okay, well, yeah, let's walk through it because I don't need to like explain a lot of that now because I just did it right there, a little quick session.
But if there's anything in your notes that you're like, I want you to focus on this stuff, James, please bring that up.
James, you know me. Guess how many pages of notes I have today?
4 pages is my guess.
I got the usual 6, so we're going to start getting into it.
I thought it was 3 pages. Maybe that was Time Bandits that had 3 pages.
That's right. Yeah, Time Bandits, we like scaled back a little bit because the plots were not quite as involved. Yeah, this episode we start out with an interesting meeting. The first dude we see walking through the hall here, that's our Lord Gabriel, right? With a little slick back hairdo. Same dude that's the prince consort. We find out here that he has been, what do you call it? They have this specific term for it in the book, compulsion. He's been using compulsion on everybody he meets. He's only been free for a month from his prison. All the Chosen have only been free for a month at this point. But everybody who meets him, he compulses them to like think, oh yeah, this dude's been with the queen for a decade and she's been at his side and his advisor and everybody likes him and he's a cool dude. So that's why the last episode, you almost picked it up because you were like, I don't know what to think about this guy. He seems good or bad. Do you remember maybe kind of questioning his alliance when you watched episode 2?
Wait, the consort is a Forsaken?
Yes. That was that was the first scene of this episode. Yes.
Okay. All right. Because I was like, that dude looks exactly like that guy. Okay. All right. Then yeah. Okay. Then my suspicion was founded. Wait, so like he's been telling so this entire time he has not been a stepfather to these children. That's fucked up. That is really mean.
Remember when him and Elaine were drinking and she was like, yeah, we used to always drink all the time together, Gabriel. That's not true. That's a compulsion that he put in her head.
Wait, so all the Aes Sedai just allowed a Forsaken to come in? Oh, because that's when ding, ding, what's your name? And then he just consorted right there?
Yep, that's right.
Wow. Okay, this episode fucking rules now. This show's good. I was having some different thoughts, but no, it's good.
Yeah, so that's our boy. And yes, like even Swan was compulsed because, Swan's pretty stern-faced. And when she saw Lord Gabriel episode 2, she's like, oh, Lord Gabriel, I love you. Mm-hmm. So he got to her too. Like there's no one that's safe from this guy. And now knowing that, he had this little discussion with the other Forsaken. This is a little Forsaken meeting that they're having here in the dark hallway. We got Lanfear. We got, now this is Gabriel, Lord Gabriel. His real name, by the way, is Ravine. That's what his Forsaken name is. And that's what they're referring to him as, is Ravine. He's, everybody in the show has 2 or 3 names. You got to get used to it.
So he is very much, if you watch Rick and Morty, he's the Mr. Poopy Butthole of this.
I don't watch Rick and Morty, but I don't consider him a poopy butthole. I think I kind of like this guy.
I won't explain the reference. You can watch it yourself. It's a good episode. Check it out, guys. Rick and Morty, I say 2 thumbs up. You like Heather Ann Campbell, right?
Absolutely. I didn't know she was on that show.
She writes on it.
Oh, I gave it a shot. I didn't like the show. So I'm not sure if I'm going to continue with it, honestly.
Maybe just start season 2. And if you like season 2, like what I did with Step by Step, I started season 2. I was like, this rocks. Then I went back to season 1 and I was like, you want to know what? I'm glad I didn't start with season 1 because season 2 is when everything's solidified and they know what they're doing with characters.
Right. Wheel of Time, season 1 was, got kind of a lukewarm reception. It was a mediocre show. It's got nothing but better as we're going. So yeah, I'm going to continue here. He being Lord Gabriel Ravine is meeting up with some other Forsaken here in these dark corridors. We got Samael. That's the general guy with the crew cut, and he sounds kind of Irish. He is a general from back in the day that used to be an enemy of Luz Theron. So he's very anti-Rand, anti-Luz Theron. And yeah, of course, the beautiful Lanfear is here with them too. And they're all talking about an alliance to take down Moghedion, who is the Bjork-looking woman. Mm-hmm. That's who they're talking about here. And Gabriel, like the politician that he is, he's all like, how about I invite the other people into our little alliance here? And then we also learned that he's working with Moghedion. So I kind of get the sense that he's compulsing even these Forsaken. I was thinking he might be compulsing Moghedion, as a matter of fact.
I do have a question. How are the Forsaken able to use the one power without that dark? Or is the dark influence just, since it's been granted to them by the Dark One, is that how they're able to do it?
Wait, why would they not be able to use the power?
How are they not getting their mind all wonky?
Oh, yeah, because they have sworn to the Dark One, and they have a more pure channel to the one power.
Then just everyone align yourself with the Dark One and then be like, hey, Dark One, we're taking you down. This is a hostile takeover.
I just watched episode 6 of season 3, Wheel of Time, last night, and there's a really good, strong points as to why you might not want to go that path.
Okay. I'm thinking good. I'm critically thinking, and then the show is even better than me because they will then explain why that's not a viable thing.
Yeah, again, this was a strong choice for us to do this. We could have gone many ways with the podcast, and we chose Wheel of Time, and I'm glad we did because we wouldn't be having these discussions. So yeah, I'm going to move on from this Forsaken meeting unless you had any other questions.
You're saying if we had done Doom Sludge Metal, it wouldn't have worked out this way?
Yeah, I don't know. We would have just been saying stuff like, yeah, man, this is wild. Hell yeah, dude, this is cool. I don't know what else you can say about sludge metal, really.
I love it when, the natural tempo of 70 beats per minute, they half-time it to 35.
I love that chug that they seem to do every damn song. I love it.
I know it's cliche, but, acid bath really is the pinnacle of the genre.
When the Cape pipe strings. Yes, I got this. All right, I'm moving on to Wheel of Time. We're going to get out of that Forsaken meeting and into Viren. Viren is instructing Nynaeve and Elaine to get answers from Joya Sedai and Amico. That's right. They're being torturers here. They can lie, so they're pretty good at doing this because Aes Sedai cannot lie, but they're not Aes Sedai yet, which I think is a fun little twist.
Mm-hmm. And if anyone is aware of more stories, I bet there's some anime that's in this, or just like, I want high fantasy noir because that's what this was giving me, of two detectives going through but trying to work their way within this fantasy realm. I loved it.
Yeah, they were lying to both of the girls that they were interviewing here, or what do you call this? You would call this
interrogating.
Interrogating, yeah. And Amico was all like beat up and bloody, so I kind of got the sense that Nynaeve beat the crap out of her, right?
Or that's from the previous battle.
I get, yeah, I guess that's
because it's only been a few days, right?
Yeah, that's true. I was just kind of hoping that Nynaeve might have punched her a bunch because Nynaeve is pretty quick with her fists in the book. We didn't see Elaine go through the arches, but we know that it happened because Joya Sedai points out that Elaine now wears the ring. Mm-hmm. So of our characters now, Nynaeve, Egwene, and Elaine have all gone through these rings. They've all lived these multiple lives. So even though they're all like in their 20s and maybe Nynaeve is like 30, they existed inside those rings for like a lifetime. So they are like older and wiser than they appear. And I wanted to let you know that because they don't even mention that about Elaine except in passing. So yeah, just wanted to make that point clear.
Yeah, that is weird that we wouldn't see that. Can you spoil it in the episodes you've watched? Do we get any information on that?
Of the episodes that I've watched, no, we don't get any information about that. I hope we do. I mean,
maybe that guy consorted them. What were you calling it?
Compulse them.
Yeah, like, hey, yeah, she did it. Like, Even though
crap.
he's not her stepfather, he's like, actually, I do feel a fatherly bond with her. I'm going to save her from all of this. Yeah, guys, I've conspired inside your minds. Give her that ring.
That could absolutely be the case. Absolutely.
If that is the case, I'm going to say, writers, it's stupid, okay? If I came up with that, it's dumb.
No, but it's good because if it looks like she became the accepted and everybody believes that, and then she becomes an Aes Sedai, and then she becomes the queen, and then he's all like, she's not actually even an Aes Sedai. That was all fake. She's never been through the arches. And then he can prove it somehow. He could take her down. That's a pretty cool plot line.
Yeah, but he could just conspire in everyone's mind to say like it never happened.
Oh, well, there is that too. I don't know.
I don't think he would want to do that because then that loosens his power.
I guess so, but I'm done speculating about it. I'm going to put a pin in it, James. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I'm going back to Elaine and Nynaeve now. They don't trust the information that they got from these two Black Aja because they got it a little too easy. So Nynaeve is focusing on what they didn't tell them. So she's going to Leandrin's house to look for some clues. That's what she decides to do. So she and Elaine book it over to Leandrin's old house where she used to live, looking for clues, and they find a cool one. They find like this neat symbol drawn on chalk and salt underneath of Leandrin's bed, which is like straight out of 1899. They did that kind of crap in that show too. They did remind us about Tyr and the sword Kalendor, and that's where Rand should be going. So we're reminded of that fact again. And this is super important. This is my last note on this, but this is like the most important note. We learn about the Black Aja hearts and how the Black Aja works in secret. So there's lots of Black Aja around in the tower, but they only work in groups of 3. And everybody within that group, if you're in a group of 3, then you have one friend that's also Black Aja that's in another group. So each person only can identify 3 other Black Aja members, and that's by design. And that's pretty clever. I've never heard of that before. Have you ever heard of that? Next scene I got is we're talking about Elaida, who we discussed earlier. She's sitting in her room in this scene, and she's got that bracelet. Her hand is shaking, and it's clear that there's something up. She's like all yelling and upset. Min comes in to help clean up the mess there, and she kind of composes herself in front of Min. At this point, she goes to the Armorillan. This is where I say she gets gatekept by Leanne and Varen. My note here is all about Leanne. I'm starting to love her. She's like starting to show some real promise as a real catty individual. Did you happen to notice that this episode?
I've always loved her, so...
Okay. I've always thought she's been kind of one note and hasn't really impressed me. And it was this episode that I started noticing her, I guess.
Well, that one note of hers is pretty much like the equivalent for me of sunglasses, smoking a cigarette, leather jacket, switchblade. That's not a switchblade. It's a hair comb. And yeah, like she's just cool.
I mean, absolutely. I can't deny that. And this is where they tell her that she can't just walk in and get a what do you call it? A little visit with an Armorillan seat. She needs to find a sitter to accompany her and request it properly. They kind of shoo her off there. This is where she goes to the Red Den. She's bringing gifts to Tsunami, and that's not her name. Tsuma, that's it. She brings gifts for Tsuma and Galina to try to like butter them up, but they're pretty catty about like denying these gifts to her.
Yeah, because I love their reaction specifically, because they're like head red pretty much. It just came out like, yeah, I'm Black Aja and I killed some of you guys.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So they're like, oh, everyone's probably thinking all the Reds are Black Aja. Dude, we're dealing with some shit. We can't just like help you politic some more. We have not just politicking of our own, but a PR nightmare right now.
Exactly. I mean, she's right. And they do have a tough road to hoe. And Elaida is like, y'all aren't focusing on the right thing. I mean, I think Elaida understands where she's coming from, but she's like, that's not as important as Rand al'Thor is. So she's trying to like state her case here. She kind of spits in her face on the way out too. And is like, you kind of suck, Tsuma. I don't remember exactly what she says, but it was really insulting and catty and didn't seem nice.
I had this written down. It was, I fart in your general direction.
Why would you say that, Elaida? That's so awful. And her diet is terrible, I bet. All right.
Why would you? She was a queen's right-hand man.
Yeah, so she eats all that like
diet.
No, they eat all that weird, like fancy, like rich food that like Bourdain makes, like the caviar eggs, like sauteed with a punami thing. I don't know, man. Rich people food is not pleasing to the palate.
If rich people are eating that punani, okay, I gotta become rich.
Maybe I chose the wrong word there out of my mind. Jeez, I'm struggling
guys.
for words.
We gotta eat that punani, guys.
It costs a lot of money, apparently. Where am I now? Okay, wise ones. We're talking about wise ones business. We're coming up to the threefold land here. We see them put on their masks, not because there's COVID around, but they sense danger. This is what they do. When they fight, they put those masks up. They happen upon a massacre where some Cauthon, some of the traveling folk, are dead. And we it's just like you were saying, the CSI. We get a little CSI in this scene where like Lan is like checking out the wounds. Like, oh, I don't think that was made by a sword. Looks like it was made by a spear made to look like a sword. And like that pisses off the Aiel. Like, Aiel would never do crap like this. Hell no.
But then they're like, oh, yeah, but, it could be these Aiel. And it's like, that should be you shouldn't just, come on, guys.
Exactly. I was like, okay, so the Shido suck. I bet the Shido did this. I mean, I was kind of putting two and two together right there. Mm-hmm. We also learn about Ruidian, which is where they're taking Rand. And Rand kind of knows this already, and he's not supposed to know this. But we learn about Ruidian, which is a city of clouds that's within the Aiel Waste, where people go to have prophetic visions, very similar to the arches in the White Tower. So we learn about that this episode.
And people were asking questions to some of the higher ups, and I forget the exchange, but the response is, that's wise one business. And they're like, well, why can't you tell us? And they go, that's wise one business. And it's like, okay, never mind.
I'll tell you right now, I'm very partial to the wise ones from being a fan of these books. They were just like the best group of characters, probably hands down my favorite group.
Heck yeah.
Like within the world of Wheel of Time. And you'll find out later why.
I'll be honest, that pledge that I said, like, hey, I guarantee you I will never read these books. I am starting to be like, do I want to touch in on these books? But I can just find more fantasy geared towards my interests, which is just like, there's got to be like rad 90s cool, just like buff dudes slaying people and bedding women, right?
You mean like within the Wheel of Time world?
No, within just fantasy in general.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Absolutely. There's all levels, all types. And like, it sounds like you might be more interested in like fan-written fantasy. Like fans of fantasy that write their own fantasy, like based on their favorite things. It sounds like that's where you're leaning. So I would maybe check out some Wheel of Time fanfic. That's probably where it's at.
Or I think just Conan. That might be good.
Yeah, that's exactly. I think you just described Conan when you first described that first sentence.
Right. Especially, Steve, I have to send you this. Marvel does Conan, or used to do Conan stuff. I'm saying Conan as if he's the wrestler Conan. But Conan the Barbarian in the 90s, like at the peak of 90s cool comics, had a series. And it's just like, if you think of X-Men during that time, but like put it into the Conan universe, and I'm like, dude, this might be my favorite comic book series. I'll send you pics.
You don't have to, actually, because I'm familiar with the comic series. My friend Sam Colleran is really into comics and was into as we were growing up. So through him, I'm familiar with this series too. And
all right, hell yeah. I think it was just called Conan.
I didn't actually read it, but I would like look at it over his shoulder as he read it sometimes. You know how that goes. Sweet Shot of Time is brought to you by Zencastr. Zencastr is the way we record Sweet Shot of Time. We hook up with our guests via video and we record it on audio. Recently, we've been doing video podcasts with the cast of Time Bandits.
It's easy using Zencastr. You can record video or audio. You can also edit your podcast or your video via Zencastr. Join Zencastr using my promo code Sweet Child of Time, and you can get 30% off Zencastr. If you're ready to start your podcast, it's time to share your story. Share it with Zencastr. That promo code once again, Sweet Child of Time at Zencastr.com.
All right, so Conan and Perrin are kind of similar. They're big, tough dudes with tough voices. But Perrin here is in his apple orchard back at the Two Rivers, and this is where his family's burial ground. Everybody who gets laid to rest here has an apple blossoms tree seed in their hand, and this is where Layla was buried, and obviously she was buried the same way. This tree looks like it's probably about 5 years old, I would guess. Somewhere between 3 to 5 years old. So I'm guessing that's the amount of time that it's been since the Two Rivers attack with the Trollocs. Mm-hmm. Somewhere between 3 to 5 years ago. Let's see. He's joined by Alana, who comes up there, just to have a nice moment out of the attic where she's been hanging out. We learned that the ashes on her face, it's not just cool. She's not just, goth or whatever. She is wearing the ashes of Ivan on her face in mourning. And she discusses this concept with Perrin, and yeah, that's all the notes I had about that scene before I move on. Did you have anything with Perrin and Alana here, or apple blossom seeds?
They specifically say, when our people die, we are laid to rest with an apple blossom seed in their hand, and that is the saddest yet most poetic thing I have ever heard. Because it's like, yes, you've died, and then there will be this physical representation for all time. Mm-hmm. At least, like a human life isn't longer than a tree life. So you would see this grow, and it's sad, but also beautiful and poetic. So I guess it's right up my alley.
Yeah, I found it beautiful too. And it's a real life option, as a matter of fact. There is this service that you can be buried and your remains grow into a tree. That is some, I don't know what it's called, but it's some sort of service. That's just Google die tree and you'll probably find it.
I know what plant seed you'd want to be buried with, brother.
Oh yeah, baby. That green seed, right?
Usually you don't like the seeds included, but when you're dead, brother.
That's right. All right, Bane and Chiad, they're wanting to make out with somebody. They're desperate. So they're going and trying to hit up Loyal, trying to hit up Maxim. Maxim shuts them down pretty soundly. He's like, I'm depressed right now, so leave me alone.
Yeah, so first they're trying to get Maiden's Kiss going with Loyal, and then they're like, okay. Then they turn around to see Maxim there. They stand up, they take one step, and he goes, absolutely not. And then they're like, come on, man.
I mean, I don't know. They're a fun bunch, but yeah, I thought that was an interesting scene. But yeah, Maxim is pretty down. But at this moment, I think that the reason the scene doesn't continue further is because the White Cloaks bust in at that time. And apparently they've taken Matt's family hostage and they want to exchange them for Perrin. That's the whole White Cloak plan here. Mm-hmm. We meet the Hunters of the Horn because that's who busts in the room here. We got Lord Luke. He just kind of talks a little bit and gives us some plot devices, but we don't really meet him too much here. But we really meet the dashingly lovely Mandarb who's at his side. She doesn't say anything this scene, but I think she kind of stole the scene with her glances. And then we cut over to the White Cloaks camp and we see young Dane Bornhald. And if you don't remember, James, this is the guy, the blonde-haired dude that Perrin was broing down with. Mm-hmm. And he had to end up fighting him reluctantly. But they got along pretty good. They hung out for one night. They liked each other.
Yeah. And I can say this right now, as I said in the first episode, I'm not a shallow person, and this is why. The only unattractive people in this entire show are the White Cloaks, and that is because of their personality. God, they suck. The Forsaken, I'm like, yeah, they want to destroy time itself, but they're still really hot. But the White Cloaks, I'm like, get out of here, you creeps.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, it's like physically, if you just saw them themselves, they're good-looking guys, especially Dane Bornhald and Eamon Valdo. We get to meet him again. He's the black dude with the big thing on his shoulder, and he's got the white stripe in his hair. That also shows us how long of time it's been, because the last time we saw him was like a little white spot. And now like half his head is white. So some time has passed and he's gained some gray hair and some wisdom, I guess. But yeah, Dane seems, they all suck, but Dane seems like he sucks slightly less than Valda.
Yeah.
And that's all I can say. That's all I can give him at this point.
My guess is he might be thinking purely about what the White Cloaks are supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Opposed to everyone else is trying to use it as a form of status and power. Like, we can use this order to make sure the White Cloak way of the world is the way of the world.
Exactly. Yeah, you got it exactly. That's right. And they're talking about Matt's family. And I think the scene ends when like Dane is like sipping on some juice and like looking at Matt's family in the cage. And then we immediately cut to Matt. Matt's being tortured by the voices in his head. But Min comes in the room. She's trying to work things out with Matt. But at this point, Matt's kind of not having it. So there's some tension between Matt and Min right now, or at least at this point in the story. Nynaeve and Elaine here, they learn. Oh, yeah, this is the scene. Nynaeve and Elaine, they're learning about why that painted symbol was on the floor. And there's like this whole, like, I guess, like black magic thing that like if you paint this symbol on the spot that you died and then also on the spot that you were born, like something can happen. Maybe you can resurrect that person perhaps. So they're kind of like leaning towards that. And she's like, oh, I bet they're going to Tanchico. They're talking about these bracelets that can control male channelers. And so I mean, basically all these signs lead them to Tanchico. Mm-hmm. As they're figuring this out, suddenly there's like this weird dude in the corner that is going to shoot them with an arrow. Nynaeve sees them. It's a gray man. He is immediately stabbed by an unknown person and they run out to try to like fight him or something. And he's already dead. He's been stabbed by somebody. And then Viren suspiciously shows up and Nynaeve is suspicious of her. So yeah, this was really wild. The takeaway is like, was this an attack on Elaine or was this an attack on like the girls searching for an answer? Because it could be either. So yeah, we got our gray man here and I want to talk about Viren, but you wanted to talk about gray men. What's up?
So I brought up a couple episodes ago that the gray man theory is a real thing. And I was like, is this just something? Actually, it wasn't, is this something that Jordan put these two together? Because as you were explaining a gray man, especially in the books, like they just blend in and it's like, oh, whoa, they're here all of a sudden. No, they've always been here. So Robert Jordan, that's his name. Mm-hmm. So I looked into it and the gray man theory goes back far. And it's specifically in like military or espionage, like that's a thing, like you need to blend in and just truly be a nothing in the crowd. Like no one would ever notice you. And people hypothesized, I read this on like Reddit and some forums, that because Robert Jordan was in Vietnam or North Korea, I forget which one, like
Vietnam,
he was
yes.
in the military, he probably would have learned about gray man stuff and would have used this in his books.
Yeah, that absolutely. And I think the gist of this particular gray man is like, I think in the show, he kind of walks in on the door. I think that's what they show. But I think the emphasis is supposed to be that he was like lurking in the corner like the whole damn time. And they just weren't aware that he was in the room with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Viren shows up and she sees all this, but she doesn't seem too terribly surprised. And that makes Nynaeve very suspicious. So, of course, that's going to make us as viewers suspicious of Viren as well. This is like, I think this might be the first time that like Viren's done something shady, or can you think of something else?
I can't remember.
I mean, I should notice because I'm a big fan of Viren and I got my eye on her. So this is the first thing I've seen that's like makes me raise my suspicion.
Wait, wasn't she the one that it looked like she got conked on the head, but she was faking it?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so that's a suspicious thing as well.
I guess it could be. I don't see it as suspicious because I see it as more like a defense mechanism. Like she saw that they were about to be attacked, and she blocks it. It's not that only Elias, whatever her name was, her friend Adelaus, they were both attacked, and she was able to block it. If just Adelaus was attacked and Viren was not attacked, then I would be on your side. But because she had a bullet aimed at her head that she blocked.
But who casted that bullet at her? Do we know?
Naomi.
Okay, so Naomi, and who was the other Black Aja there?
That was the only Black Aja that was there. She did it by herself. Naomi did.
Wait, okay, so I could have swore there was one other there, but Black Aja only know the 3 that they know, and if there's another one around, they might not know that one's a Black Aja.
Right.
So those 2 could have known we are Black Aja, and if there were any other around, they wouldn't have known that they know. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
So I don't know. It could be suspicious. All of this could be leading to she's Black Aja.
Especially because it just happened last episode. Now we got this happen in this episode. So sure, yeah, possibly. I hope not. And I think this would be a great time to like just take a quick detour. And I'm going to ask you, James, because I know for a fact, and they're searching for another sister in the hall, because we know as viewers and they know as characters that at least one more sister in the hall is Black Aja, at least one. But there's probably a lot more.
Yeah.
I and other book readers know of 3.
Whoa.
Only 3. And I'll tell you right now, and this is not really a spoiler, but I think it's more fun than anything. I don't see it as a spoiler. Maybe you will. But yeah, because we're asking these questions about Viren, I want to ask, who do you suspect might be these other Black Aja? Is there anybody that you suspect right now that we've met that raises your hackles?
So at first I thought the gray man thing was just a red herring. They're throwing that. But with her, because like she would have been able to throw that up because she knew this was about to happen. And it's like, hey, we don't want it to look bad. I want you to throw this bolt at both of us. So that's the only one I'm thinking of right now.
Okay, I have another, what is this? I'm arguing with you. I have another argument.
Okay, a defense.
A defense, yes. Not an argument, a defense. There was only 3 people in the library: Naomi, Adelaus, Viren. So there was no witnesses. Nobody was like around to see anything. And Naomi directly hit at both of them.
Yes.
So that wasn't for anybody's benefit. So it wasn't like Naomi was trying to make it look like she was going to kill Viren, So
but what if the other one didn't lose her memory? Then it would have been like, oh, no, this is bad. Or if someone came upon them laying down, she'd have to be like, oh, this happened. And I think just you want all your baskets in order if you're trying to do this espionage shit. And also then you could say like, yeah, she attacked me. Here are like, I don't know, magic could show up as different things. Who knows? I do think she might be Black Aja.
Okay. Well, like I told you, I know of 3, and one of them you would not possibly know because they have barely spoken at this point. But the other 2 are, walking and talking and pretty much in all these episodes. Do you have another guess besides, because you guessed Viren, which is an obvious guess because we're talking about it now. Now I want you to think outside the box a little bit.
I don't know any others.
You don't know any other sisters in the hall?
Not by name or not. Like the only one, which I would hope not, is Leanne.
Okay. Well, you say her because you know her name. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, sure. I mean, that would be a pretty high up sister if that was the case. Yeah.
Okay. Then I have to, because I have thought it, but I'm like, they wouldn't do that. I think Suwan could be Black Aja. It would make sense and it would suck and it would be like good storytelling, but that's also cheap storytelling.
Yeah, sure.
Like the biggest person there is bad.
I'm sure other viewers of the show are probably suspecting her as well, because I mean, it's clear that there's at least one that we're looking for. So, I mean, other show viewers are asking themselves these same questions, which is why I'm asking you. And I'm sure Suwan is probably high on that list. But you're right. I mean, we've only met about a dozen or 24 named characters that we can really identify. So it does kind of make it hard. That's why I was saying a couple episodes back, like we're going to eventually learn all of these sisters' names and we'll get to know them all. So, that will come in the future. Just keep your hackles up. Just keep your spyglass on. Keep looking out for more suspicious characters.
Also, we keep seeing Viren talking to other people and being like in secrecy. And I don't think What's Her Nuts from of Right Hand Man of Morgaze, I don't think she's Black Aja.
Right Hand Man of Elaida?
Yeah. But also, like, I don't think she needs to be, because the Forsaken's already in that kingdom with, the consort.
Right.
So
Exactly.
If this guy's able, like, oh, we don't need you to pledge your allegiance. We can just be done with you when we're done with you.
And I always look to that conversation last episode that Swan and Elaida had, like, in the hallway when they were like, all politics aside, this is how we really feel about each other. And it seemed clear from that conversation. I walked away from that feeling pretty positive that neither one of them were Black Aja.
Okay.
Just based on that conversation. That conversation could have been a red herring, though. You never know.
Yeah.
So next up is Tanchico. We're coming to Tanchico now. Everything is all lacy and fancy and dangerous. And we see this whole punk rock crew of ladies slow-mo walking through the crowd. Leandrin looking more... got her hair down, looking more red than usual. A real punk rock looking steampunk Naomi. I think eyeliner is the real hero of Wheel of Time this season because everybody wears lots of eyeliner, it seems. They go straight to the place that Leandrin was born, which we find out is a brothel. And Leandrin walks in there and stops a forced child marriage. So now we got to ask ourselves, is she really the baddie here? Because she's, she's stopping something horrific from happening.
Bad people can do good things.
True. And then they can turn around and do more bad things. Like I was cheering for Leandrin at this scene. I was like, yeah, they're getting your revenge and helping this little girl out. But then she's like, hey, Naomi, come here. Wipe this kid's mind clean.
Yeah.
Like, was she completely wiping her mind clean, or was she just doing like the compulsion thing like Ravine is doing? Just like forget that this weird situation happened.
I think it's that, but then she was also saying like it might do a little more than that.
That's what I gathered. I was afraid she was going to be like a vegetable after that.
No, I think it's just, let's get it through. Yeah, we're trying to wipe out an hour, but the hour's probably going to do a few days.
Yeah, probably so. But hey, remember last episode when Matt was all like, well, why can't these Aes Sedai help me? Well, what about Naomi? She can do brain work here, right?
No, but I was about to literally bring this up, which is the mind is not a magical science. It might just be a science. So they could probably help Matt out, but it's probably going to do also some stuff he doesn't want done. Oh. So they're like, Black Aja's totally fine with that. They do not follow HIPAA. Like, they are not licensed at all. Whereas the Aes Sedai are like, we can't lie to you. This will do more harm than good potentially. And then Matt's like, all right, let's look into some other options then.
Wow, dude, that makes total sense. Because back at the White Tower, we had Rima. She's like the yellow, and she's like, no, this is dangerous. We can't mess with Matt's mind. And then we have Naomi here, like, yeah, sure, let's go for it. Pew! So,
unless they want the mind messed with and she's Black Aja and healing him would do good to the cause.
Rima, we're after you, Rima. We got our eye on you now.
Notice now.
Oh, well, they reclaimed this brothel as the new Black Aja lair in Tanchico, so they're all going to live there. IMDb, unfortunately, did not give me the names of these other Black Aja, unfortunately, because I really want to know the name of the dandy that has like the gray hair and the pork pie hat and stuff. Like, I wanted to learn what her name was, and it wasn't available to me. So anyway, maybe the listeners know, if there's any listeners out there, let us know what some of these actresses' names are and what Black Aja names are these, because I admit, I have read the books about 3 times each, but even so, I don't retain all these names and I don't retain all the information 100%, like some of these other individuals that have like studied the books.
I apologize to you, Steve. Whenever I bring you up and how much you read these books, I have, been over-exaggerating. I thought you've read through these like 7 to 10 times.
No, about 3 times. I've read the first book more than 3 times, and I've read A Memory of Spring, which is that the last book or is that okay, I've read the first book, the last book, and then the book which is about Moraine and Suan and Leandrin when they were in the tower. It's like a standalone book. Okay. Those 3 books I've probably read about 5 or 6 times each.
All right,
but the rest of the books in the series, I've read the whole series like 3 times through.
All right, that's still good. They're thousands of pages.
Yes, thank you. But yeah, please do not cite me as an expert source. I am merely a fan who knows more than the average person. That's all. So let's see, where are we at next? Elaida. I like this scene a lot. So we're kind of made to not like Elaida a whole lot. She's not really presented to us in a great light, and everybody's kind of given her a cold reception. But I really like the scene when she opens up to men. She recognizes men as a seer. I wrote my notes here, game, recognize, game. And she uses her visions. She doesn't just see them. And she gives this information to men. And you see like the light go on in men's eyes, like, holy crap, I can do something more with this. Like Elaida is a big influence on men here. But then she says, hey, men, now that we're best friends, why don't you keep this secret for me? I'm planning to call a vote. Don't tell the Armorill in seat, who I know you're a spy for her, but please don't tell her this. Just pinky promise. But I think she's going to get overthrown. I'm going to call a vote for the Red Aja to cage and control the Dragon Reborn, and I'm going to take over. So immediately, my what do you call it? My radar went off at that point. Like, yeah, she knows that Min's not going to keep this secret. This is not like a girlfriend thing.
Yeah. I really liked, because Min was like, having visions isn't good. It's not like I can change the future. And then the response is, yeah, but I see the future and I back the winner, and then that's beneficial towards me. And I'm like, well, okay, that's what I would be doing too, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's also, I want to point out to you too that the Red Aja are not supposed to be the bad guys. They're kind of like Slytherin in like Harry Potter, where like that's where all the creeps are. But that doesn't mean that everybody who is a Red Aja is a creep and is a bad guy. It's just we kind of don't trust them. The Black Aja are the bad guys. So we just got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, they are the ones that are like hunting men, and they're kind of the warriors-ish, or the green are like warriors, but they are actively seeking issues and taking out those issues. And those that would fit well in there have bad personality traits, where it's like, not all football players are shitty people,
right?
But what you need to do to have the set goals to be a good football player are going to attract shit men.
That's a great analogy, James. You should be a podcaster or something. That's a really good analogy.
Don't tell my other podcast co-hosts, as I always say, guys.
It's a secret over here. Don't worry. Nobody's listening. All right. Dreamwalk talk now. We're going to go with Gawyn, whose name kind of sounds like Elaine, but she's Gawyn. She meets up with Bear and Tel'aran'rhiod. And she doesn't meet up with her. I'm sorry. They're talking about Tel'aran'rhiod. And she's like, if this woman in your dreams can hurt you, then that means that she's actually alive, because dead people can't hurt you in your dreams. But she's like, I'm going to teach you how to protect yourself. So, Egwene's going to be hanging out with the wise ones, I guess, in the future.
Which we know that one lady isn't alive. It's actually the Forsaken doing that, right?
Wait, huh? Is this a joke, or are you being for real?
For real. The lady that was choking Gawyn last season?
Rena, yes.
Rena's not alive.
Correct.
Because the person doing that is that Forsaken lady. Right, that's what we kind of posited last episode?
Yes, it seems pretty clear, yes.
That's such terrible gaslighting to do to someone like, yeah, I'm going to go into your dreams and make you think this person's alive that you're pretty confident you killed.
Yeah, and you're also doing that to the person who's dating the person that you're infatuated with. So that's even weirder.
And then you have to also include like a roping in a wise one, like this other dream walker, to be like, yeah, man, we got to get to the bottom of this. And it's like, no, it's just one person just being a menace to everyone.
Yeah. Rand, meanwhile, is dreaming of being with Lanfear. So they have their little spot here. What they call this is a dream shard. It's like a little spot within Tel'aran'rhiod. But Tel'aran'rhiod is the dream world. It's a whole world. But the Forsaken can make these little tiny shards, and they can like make little houses, and I can live here. And this is like where I always come when I come to Tel'aran'rhiod, my little spot. Most people can't do that kind of thing. But, Lanfear, of course, can. She's still encouraging him to get Kalendor and defeat the Dark One. She's talking about using that female soccer man. Yeah, we'll call it the soccer man. She wants to use this female soccer man in conjunction with Kalendor to take out the Dark One. and then she can be free of her dark oaths that she took 3,000 years ago. Do we trust her, James?
I mean, we trust her to just be like, hey, this is what I can do to get to Rand. And my guess is she dies afterwards. It's like, you don't have this oath anymore, so you're no longer getting these benefits that the Dark One would give you. I think she just die right away.
Right. I mean, it seems clear she has some kind of motive, because she could just kill Rand, and then go to the Dark One and say, hey, look, I killed the Dragon Reborn. But she doesn't want to do that. She's using him for some sort of purpose.
Well, because she's in love with him.
Right. Either she's in love with him or she's not. She could not be in love with him and could just be using him so she can have all the power eventually. Kind of like Elaida here. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. We're skeptical of her, but we're enamored by her at the same time. She's a great character.
Yeah.
Then we cut to Lan and Moraine. They're in the sweat tent, and Moraine is not doing a great job of blending in. She's not too respectful to the wise ones, and they kind of call her out on it. They call her child a few times, kind of put her in her place. We learn some more about Ruidian and the Karakarn some through their conversation, but the interesting thing that happens is there's a hot woman eyeballing Lan and Moraine, and they're talking about, getting with her and how great sex would be right now. And he tells Moraine it's okay to mess around. Does that mean it's okay for him to mess around behind Nynaeve's back? I was really unclear about these scenes.
I felt more so because she has been banished from the White Tower. It's like, no, dude, you're an ageless being. So you can, there's not much ramification, but also again, you're banished from the White Tower, and maybe he knows that these two have this agreement that it's like, we are an item, but we're not exclusive, possibly.
Right. That's true. I get the sense that he's exclusive to Nynaeve, though. And
yes, so I think he is like, I'm not going to do anything. I gave her a ring, this is...
Right.
And it was my mother's ring, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, that's you saying we are exclusive. So...
Yeah.
But I really liked him saying yeah, man, just go have sex. And we've talked about this before, platonic friendships are so great because there's no sexual tension there. And we know there's no sexual tension between these two. So them both saying nah, man, get it in. And they're like, no, you get it in.
Well, it seems like neither one of them are going to make a move, but Lan notices the tattoo on her back. She's got the Malakir tattoo on her back. So he goes ahead and follows her in there. So we meet Melindra, and she was adopted by the Aiel as a child, and she kind of gives us her perspective of Lan. And it kind of seems like the end here is she's bare-chested like all the Aiel are, and she's inviting Lan to spend the night with her, and she's like, Malakir, you're still a king as long as someone wears the Hadori, which he always wears the Hadori, and then someone else wears the fill in the blank here, whatever she was talking about. It seems like she was trying to cozy up to him or something, or maybe she was just stating her allegiance to his cause. Which do you think?
Well, she's saying that she is from that kingdom.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, dude, this is your legacy. This is your role in life, is to make this kingdom rise again, and you're kind of squandering it. You're currently running away from it to be a warder, which we know saved his life technically, so it's good that he's doing this. But she's just like, dude, you need to get down with it and get done with this. So let's rise our kingdom, because currently she's like, yeah, I was adopted into this place, but it's not my home. I would like my home back.
Damn, dude. Okay. Yeah, this is why we're together, James, because you're opening my eyes. I'm just looking at this as a sexual thing, and she's trying to muscle her way into his presence. But I like your aspect a lot better. And again, your aspect is more of the platonic aspect. So yeah, thank you. I like that. No pushback. I'm liking that. I'm going to tuck that one away. All right. Next up here, we got Perrin. Perrin plans to turn himself in, and he tells the crowd so, and the township won't let him. He wants just to do the right thing because he's Perrin, and he wants to do the most peaceful, most direct path to success, or not success, most direct path to getting Matt's family free. He's like, if that means turning myself in, okay, I'll do it. Pretty good on him, but the rest of the crowd's like, nah.
Because they're reluctant that if he turns himself in, the White Cloaks will have no business being there anymore, and they need help with the Trollocs.
Oh, sure. Yes, that is another aspect to this too. And I can't forget that. Thank you. Alana and Maxim are arguing about the bond, which I think this is a pretty interesting, insightful angle to this. He feels that she's not grieving hard enough for Ivan. And yeah, I mean, I think that is something that happens more so because they were in like a throuple, I guess you would say, a 3-person relationship, which is similar to like, I mean, if you take the sex out of it, it's similar to have like a family with one child, and then the child dies, and then the 2 parents are grieving. One parent is like, you're not grieving hard enough. You don't miss him enough. You didn't love him enough. And so I hate you because of that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's some really, I don't know, deep stuff to bring up on this show here. And it seems clear that they're not evil dark friends or anything, but they're definitely hiding something. It's not clear why they're even there. Why she like was so weird about saying her shoulder was hurt by Trollocs. And that was like such a weird way to answer that question. So yeah, I'm still suspicious of Alana and Maxim. What are your thoughts?
I think they just know, or they might be afraid that this might actually make more sense. They just saw their entire reality shatter.
Yeah.
Now they are thinking anyone. We used to just think people outside of the White Tower, possibly dark friends. People inside the White Tower are dark friends. So people who are friends with Rand, who are supposed to be like part of this core 5 heroes that are going to take on the world, maybe they're dark friends too. So it could just be them now having to realize the love of our life just died. So we need to keep everything close to the chest until we know for sure that you're not going to kill us too.
All right. Yeah. Solid. I like it. Okay. Right after this scene, I don't have pushback because I'm asked and answered. Perrin officially meets Mandarb, quote unquote. He laughs in her face and is like, that's the same name as my buddy's horse. He's not great at talking to women. And then we find out that the reason that she's there is because she's a hunter of the horn of Valir. She and a bunch of other people are hunting for that thing. There wasn't much to this scene, nothing deep, but did you have anything about Mandarb or Perrin or the horn?
Just that Perrin is so used to Matt. Just if anything that could make you seem cool, you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to like reveal that right now. He sees how that's gotten Matt in trouble because he could have been like, yeah, man, my buddy is like the blower of the horn, you know? Like I know not only where it is, but like who its rightful owner is.
Yeah, and it's like too late. Somebody already found it. Your hunt is meaningless. All right, we're going to go back to Matt and Min. Yeah, Matt and Min are finally trying to have a conversation with one another. Matt kind of comes clean with Min here. Min has obviously listened to Elaida, and she wants to utilize her and Matt's visions. But as they're talking about this, she has this disturbing vision of Matt hanging from a noose. And this is the second time we've seen Matt hanging from a noose. Do you remember the first time? He was drinking that tea back in episode 2 that Ishmael gave him. And he was like having these weird visions in the room. And he saw like these visions of himself, and he looked in the mirror and he saw a vision of himself hanging from a noose. That was sometime back in episode 2 in the early part of that season. But yeah, he's there talking to Min, and they're having a heated conversation. They're not arguing. I mean, they kind of are, but it's not a big deal. But then Galad comes up to quote unquote rescue Min because he has, I think last episode, was it you who told me that he has like a toxic savior complex?
That wasn't me. I was just like, he's a douchebag.
Okay. Well, same thing. Douchebags have a toxic savior complex.
Well, douchebags, toxic savior complex people are douchebags, but some douchebags aren't even gallant enough to have that.
Okay, point taken. That's right. Matt recognizes how gallant this guy is too. I like this where Matt calls him excellent and sturdy, and he thanks the light that he's here with us. So I don't know. Matt and Min, I really like. It's not just Matt and Min. It's like Matt and any other female character. As I like his dynamic with Matt. I mean, I like his dynamic with Min, with Swan, the way that they talk, and Swan loosens up around Matt. Matt and Nynaeve are obviously close.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm just a Matt guy now, I guess.
You've always been a Matt guy.
I know. Well,
isn't he your favorite character from the books?
I've always been a Perrin guy. Perrin was always my favorite from the books, and he's definitely not my favorite he's definitely like probably in the bottom. Like if I had to list all the characters like top to bottom, he would be maybe at the very bottom.
Dang.
Show wise, yeah. So I'm not really. I mean, I don't know. That's kind of beside the point. Maybe I was oversharing right there. Let me just say I love Matt. Yay. Where are we at here? Leanne. This is when Leanne pops into the red quarters, pops a strawberry in her mouth, says she followed the rats, and it's almost as if she's been listening to Elaida. Like, because she comes in there and commands Sanama to take 7 reds to go find the false dragon, Mazrim Taim, not Randall Thor. So it's like Siuan is sending them off on this like bogus mission just to get them out of the tower, which that vote would help Siuan, but it would also help little Elaida sitting there because she's like, oh, you don't have a sitter now. That's weird. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we've already explained that whole scene at the very beginning, like how that is all going to work out. I'm going to pop back to Perrin. He's trying to stop the townsfolk from leaving because he's doing the classic, if we stay together, we're strong. If we're apart, we're weak. So his words wash over the people. We're supposed to remember that Perrin is a Ta'veren. He has that magnetic personality that draws people to him, despite his real low-key, just chill demeanor and his real, like, just monotone way of talking. People really hang on to his words and they want to do what he says. Anything with Perrin there?
I think it was Perrin who said, there's only 2 reasons to go home, to return home, and it's either remembrance or revenge. And I'm like, every Christmas, I got to start going back with the intent of revenge.
Yes. Look out. Oh, what was that place called? The Mitten State. Oh, my God. Michigan. Hell
there
yeah.
We, oh, I thought you were trying to remember Muskegon. That would make sense. But one of the 50 states it should be right on the tip of your tongue always.
It should be. But like, podcasters are supposed to be like sharp-minded and focused. And I'm not feeling too focused right now. I'm going to trudge on and get focused, though. Matt, practicing with his quarterstaff here. He's just doing aggressive practicing. He's not doing anything fancy. He's just beating a stick up because he's mad. Galad and Gawyn come up and teases him about the bow versus the sword thing. Nynaeve interrupts to let Matt know that she's going to Tanchico and she would like Matt to join. Matt, of course, gives the pressure like, only you can help me, Nynaeve, which I still hate when every time he does that. But, he needs Nynaeve's help. It's obvious. Galad again tries to rescue Nynaeve in there, this douchery / toxic savior complex. But Matt steps up and he's like, nah, we're going to fight. How about we spar instead? The winner gets 2 marks. And if I win, 2 marks each. I don't know how much 2 marks is, but I'm guessing it's like $20 or something like that.
2 Marxists? Sounds like people I don't want in my country.
Get out of here.
I'm kidding. Communists are fine.
But yeah, we get the Matt, Galad, and Gawyn matchup here, and Matt kicks their ass. What do you think about this, James?
I loved it. I thought it's like, Matt's constantly down on his luck. They're going to wash the floor with him, but no, he holds his own. And it's like ding dang Donatello. For all the kids who grew up loving Donatello and everyone saying, oh, Bowstaff sucks, he came and was like, no, I'm going to murk all of you assholes.
I'm just bummed nobody saw this except for Nynaeve. I wish that all of the novices and the whole crew had seen this fight, but only Nynaeve gets to witness this. But at least we get to see it. At least we know it happens, that Matt is a total badass and these Galad and Gawyn fools got schooled by a guy with a stick. I love it.
Loved it. And at the end, he's like, gimme.
All that money, boys. Perrin and Fail finally get a proper introduction. She tells Perrin, my name is not Mandarb, it's actually Fail, which it means falcon. Oh yeah, they choose their names. That's something that is brought up here, is that these hunters of the horn, they don't go by their real names. They choose like a pseudonym, like a wrestler kind of. So that's what the whole deal is with the hunters of the horn. They're a bunch of cosplayers, basically.
I would have said more like superheroes or heroes or just vigilantes, not like wrestlers.
Well, I mean, I say wrestlers because that's maybe it's not clear in this episode, but the Hunters of the Horn are kind of goofballs. They're like a bunch of people that act tough and they dress up like swordsmen, and they're like, we're going to go find the Horn of Valir, which is like a fool's path. It's like, so that's why I say wrestlers, because they're not really serious I mean, they can fight, obviously, but they're not serious soldiers. They're like looking for glory. That's all.
Then wrestler is 100% fine.
Yes. We see Matt's family is in peril. We see his two sisters and his mom there. The mom that we hate, by the way. We don't like his drunk mom, but we feel sorry for her that she's been captured by the White Cloaks.
It does look like possibly she is doing better.
Well, she hasn't been drinking because she's been captured, but she's not going through DTs. But it looks like she's a better mom than she was when we saw her in episode 1. That's right. Mm-hmm. We see a shot of Matt, Nynaeve, and Elaine. They're leaving the city in secret. They didn't tell anybody they left. They're going to go to Tanchico. Then we see like a mysterious figure following behind them. We realize it's Min. She's following behind them, and Matt's talking a bit too loudly. And I like this. This is more Matt love. Matt steals some food off of somebody's cart that they left overnight, but then he throws some money in there to pay for the food that he stole. Or obviously he didn't steal it. Like, he doesn't take the food without paying for it, even though the vendor is not there. So I thought that was a cool little aside. We see Liandrin before we leave this episode. Liandrin does her magic at the sun's place of birth. She doesn't have her braided hair anymore. Now she has this long hairdo. And we see Naomi, the brown bookworm. She's studying up on the bracelets. And we learn a little bit more about how maybe they're going to use this to possibly control Rand. That's my guess. So then we know that somewhere in the city of Tanchico, there's that bracelet. So that's where Min and Nynaeve, Matt, and Elaine are heading. That's where Liandrin and crew are. And then we see Magedion. She's also there. She's over listening to the conversation softly from the shadows. So we got one of the Forsaken there. And it looks apparent that Liandrin is not aware of her presence, right?
Yeah, because if she's making gray men, she must be able to be her own gray man, okay? She can blend in.
Yeah, I guess so. I kind of got the gist of what she was doing was letting Liandrin and Naomi do all the studying work, and she could just listen in passively and get all the clues just by listening. So
as a gray man,
a gray woman. Now we got to get her gender right.
Well, mailman's a mailman, regardless of gender. Okay, guys. Why do we got to use male person? Okay, gray person. Let's just start using that.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask you who you suspect is Black Aja here at the end of our episode, but I've already done that. You've got Viren on mind. I'm not going to tell you who I think because I think I have a better idea. But I will ask you, James, we saw a bunch of different locations this episode. We were at the Aiel Waste. We were at Tar Valon. We didn't arrive in Tanchico. No, we did. We were in Tanchico with that crew. We were in Two Rivers with Perrin. Lots of different locations. Let's say that me and my graciousness, I'm like, James, you take your lady Nicole on a little week-long vacation. Go wherever you want within the Wheel of Time world. Where are you guys going to go on vacation at?
So as Nicole and I have learned from going to Vegas and going to like other major cities, we are a small town when it comes to vacations. We live in a big city. We live in like the best big city in the United States, Chicago, Illinois, baby. Yeah. So we like vacationing in smaller towns. So Two Rivers, 100%.
Okay, yeah.
Two Rivers is pretty much the Wisconsin Dells, and we want to go to the Wisconsin Dells soon.
I think Two Rivers is where I'd want to live, but I think for vacation, I really want to see Tar Valon. Because like when they were showing like all like the little shops and stuff, I could see myself like just going from shop to shop like all day long. And I know I saw a lot of people smoking pipes around Tar Valon. There's probably some smoke shops I could visit in there. I know there's bands playing in like every other block. So I'm a Tar Valon guy myself.
There's probably a bar you can find two people trying to play Maiden's Kiss with you.
Oh, yeah. We forgot about Bane and Chayad. That's right. I hope we see some more of them later. We didn't get a whole lot of them this episode. They were just kind of standing in the background, like kind of being Perrin's back. They got his back.
I forgot that they are not in Tar Valon.
Yeah, that's right. They're with Perrin.
Yeah.
And they walk around with those big like spears sticking out their backs. They stick out like a sore thumb. I wonder why I'm not sure why they think that's okay to do that.
Because they are it's like all the characters I play in D&D, just so I can be 100% autistic coded in the sense that my weird idiosyncrasies and eccentric behaviors, I just say, like, everyone from my town acts that way and this is normal. So I've realized after like my like fourth character, I'm like, oh wow, I just keep doing the same thing. I make a character in a secluded area of the world. So then it's like, no, it would make sense that they are weird because they have no interaction with the outside world. And I think that's them of not that they're being weird, but they see no issue with like hiding themselves because where they are from, no one hides themselves.
I guess so, yeah. But I think they would just like take a quick look around and be like, nobody else has these big spears like sticking out their backs. Nobody else is like, ostentatious as we are. But, they have their own views. I don't take them as like autistic coded. I do take Magedian as autistic coded, however.
I'm saying that's the shit I do because it's like whatever weird thing I want to project on my character, I want to make that just a normal thing, not a weird thing. Whereas if they see I am proud to be this person because everyone else in my area is proud to be that way, they're just going to be like, yeah, I'm proud to be Aiel. It doesn't matter what you think. And if I hide this stuff, that means I'm ashamed of myself, and I shouldn't be ashamed of myself. And I don't want to hide it because I know if someone tries to fuck with me because I'm an Aiel, I will be able to wreck house. I have nothing to fear.
That's true. But yeah, I guess it's a character flaw of mine. I would feel the desire to like hide those spears, not hide them, but not be as predominant. And maybe that's my character flaw. I want to blend in with the crowd more, I suppose. I wouldn't make a very good Aiel, probably.
Well, I think if you were raised that way, because right now, if you're like, oh, if everyone's looking for, people with two spears, I'm fucked if I show these two spears instead of like, yeah, if people see these two spears and they mess with me, the two spears are going to be the last thing they see.
Yeah, that's true. With these two, yeah, obviously so. Every time I see them walk around with those big spears sticking out their backs, I'm just like, man, can't you just put those down for 2 seconds? But I guess not. I don't know. It's my fault.
I guess when you were a skateboarding punk with your big hair and all of that, were you like, oh, I got to hide my hair? No, you were like, fuck the police. If they want to come up to me and say I'm a skate punk, I'd like to see them show evidence of such.
Yeah, I was a different person back then, James. It's clear. I was a 50% different person back in those days than I am now. Because I wanted to stick out. I wanted to be an individual, just like everybody else. That's
now you're into gray man theory.
Now I'm a gray man, blend in the crowd. Nobody can see me, and I can do whatever I want because I'm just keeping to myself. I'm not killing anybody. No arrows, none of that stuff. I'm just here blending in. And I guess we're going to start wrapping it up, James. Got anything else to close us out with?
Nope, that's it.
That's it, y'all. So for Sweet Child of Time, you can see us again in 2 more weeks. We'll be doing episode 4, the big one. I can't wait to talk about that with James. We'll see y'all in about 2 weeks. Until then, I don't have any plugs. I know the Marshland Monster over there at MLM Pod probably has a plug or two for you.
Yeah, guys, listen to my other podcast. Wherever you are listening to this, you should be able to listen to Mostly Speaking Sentai, Sweaty Time Pro Wrestling, Death to Squids, Death spelled D-E-T-H after Jack Death from Trancers, or listen to This Movie's Gay. That's coming back. Corwin and I did a very nice episode of Straight to Patreon where we discussed freshman orientation. That was pretty much like an episode of This Movie's Gay where we're like, it can go over 50 minutes on the record. Whereas This Movie's Gay is a little more concise. We know what we're talking about. Straight to Patreon, more laxed. And speaking of Straight to Patreon, head over to patreon.com/MLM pod, where for $5 a month, you get exclusive content every single Friday. This Friday, I don't. Oh, wait, no, Friday. Wait, what am I? Oh, Friday is today.
Today.
I was like, fuck, what am I doing? Well, next Friday is going to be, I believe, Literary Speedrun, which I need to get you on, Steve, soon. But R2 Shelby 2 and I, try to speed run a choose your own adventure book. Shelby's coming on to do a choose your own romance book.
Good. I'm glad to hear Shelby's coming back. I've missed her on your podcast, so it's great she's coming back in the fold.
Yay, and that's all I got.
All right, so that's all we got too. So until next week, we'll see you then, and I hope you always find water and shade and shoes. Bye, y'all. Bye, James.
Bye-bye.
Oh, golden shower.